Have you had any paranormal activities?
Yeah, that was actually really scary. Like we shot in this like actually haunted hospital.
To prep for this role, did you have the opportunity to actually speak with or maybe interview or interact with someone who does have that gift?
I have a couple friends who consider themselves psychic. I know Lee and Angus went actually to visit with some ghost hunters one night. And Lee is pretty brazen. He's like, come on, bring it on. I'm going, Lee, like, just chill. I didn't go with them. I said, I'm not going. I don't need to tempt fate, So I kind of, the research I did was more from being a good receiver. And I think we all have the ability to understand other things than what's in front of us. You have to be a good radio. You have to open yourself up to the world, and yet again be respectful. So I hope I always am, and I hope the character, does her job in the film.
Oh, and I'm sure you played her character to the T. So from the first film to this film, what kept you inspired to write that?
It was really difficult writing this one because the haunted house genre is such a rock-solid genre. There's almost a series of steps you have to take. The family or the person or whoever moves into a house or an apartment, things start to go a bit awry, they don't know what's going on, and then they find out what's happening. With this film, we couldn't really do that because the characters had already been through a haunted house experience. They wouldn't really be wondering what was going on. So we almost had to sort of nudge the film into a different genre, and that was a real challenge. That was probably the most challenging thing.
Right. Now, the genre itself has evolved, and it's become, in my opinion, a more bloodier and more gruesome. But when it comes to your films, Insidious, there's not that much blood involved. It's more on fright, on suspense, which you're bringing it back to pretty much old horror films, which I appreciate. That's obviously what scares more people, the suspense instead of the gore and the blood.
Yeah.
Now, what attracted you to do this film that way instead of getting bloody in it?
Well, I think after Saw, James and I became known as the gore guys. We were really known as the guys that kick-started the torture porn genre, for want of a better expression. I always hate that term because I feel like these films are just reflective of these 70s grindhouse films. It's nothing new, but it was popular, so people came up with this term and they really painted James and I with that brush. And so it wasn't that we hated that term or we hated gory films, but we were keen to show people that we could do more than just blood and gore, and that we could do scares. And so that's why we made Insidious, and hopefully we succeeded. People seem to really respond to the more suspenseful style stuff that you're talking about.
Now, when it came to selecting the locations on where you were going to film, I know that you filmed at
Linda Vista,
which I actually live near that area, so I know all about that hospital. How was that experience?
Scary. I've been there before, actually. Before we shot the film, I went there with a team of amateur ghost hunters. We went there at midnight, no one else in the building, and just walked through looking around for ghosts. That was pretty scary. Wasn't as scary when you're standing around and there's 50 crew members. There's like lighting guys and lighting trucks. But when I was there on my own, pretty damn scary.
Why do you say amateur ghost hunter?
Well, we found them. I found them online. I wanted to go and explore some places with some of these ghost hunters, and you can go online and find these paranormal investigators. They're kind of like hobbyists, They're not officially sanctioned by like UCLA. They're like the Ghostbusters, basically.
Did you experience anything while you were in that hunt?
Unfortunately, not. No. I should just come up with a story about how I did. We heard a squirrel in one of the vents, and I was like, I heard a noise.
Well, I think with this movie, these are characters that we've met before, so you meet them and we really looked at it like we're continuing the story. So it didn't feel like, it was a different sort of preparation. It's not so much about the preparation as it is about trying to get, trying to understand the specifics of, without giving too much away, what it's like to be possessed and what it's like when you're real Josh, what it's like, so those are things that you really have to just break down and be very, very clear with. So really we just had to establish our rules because this movie breaks a lot of conventions.